Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. If you want to stay on top of the biggest stories in government and defense, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because today's hearing in Washington is one you're going to want to understand. During a tense session, Senator Rosen confronted Secretary Pete Hegseth over issues of ethics, anti-Semitism, and the integrity of leadership at the Department of Defense.
Senator Rosen, you're recognized. I thought I would just create a stir down there.
No, I thank you to my seatmates on both sides. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We take care of each other. And again, thank you, Chairman Wicker, Ranking Member Reed, for holding this hearing, Mr. Secretary. We have a short amount of time, so I'm just going to ask a few simple questions, and I would just appreciate if, for some of them, you would just answer yes or no. And so, Secretary Hegseth, would you agree that every senior official in the Department of Defense must reflect the values and conduct that our service members must uphold and our citizens expect?
Senator, we want to uphold the highest possible standards.
I'll take that for a yes. So would you also agree, then, that anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories have no place in our government or military? Yes or no?
They should not.
Thank you. So would you also agree that anyone who has posted, and I'm going to quote, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories lifted right out of a neo-Nazi playbook, end quote, shouldn't be anywhere near a position of power? Yes or no?
Since I don't believe the characterization of many officials in the news media, I would need to see precisely what's being characterized.
But generally, would you not say that if
generally
we
speaking,
thought something
sure,
was coming out of a neo-Nazi playbook, it doesn't have any place in our Department of Defense? Now, Secretary Hegseth, the quote that I just read you was referencing Ms. Kingsley Wilson, the DOD press secretary. It's a direct quote from her, who my Republican colleagues on this committee have also expressed alarm over due to her comments. In fact, one colleague said, and I'm going to quote again, "Obviously, I don't agree with her comments. I trust the Pentagon will address this," end quote. However, in the months since, not only have you not addressed these anti-Semitic comments, you have promoted Ms. Wilson. This seems to be at odds, honestly, with President Trump's commitment, very public commitment, to combat anti-Semitism, which you just said you too agreed with. So, Secretary Hegseth, given the rise in anti-Semitic violence, hate crimes in our nation, and to show that the Trump administration, your administration, does have a zero-tolerance policy for anti-Semitism, will you dismiss Ms. Kingsley from her role as a U.S. military spokesperson today, yes or no?
Again, that's why I referenced the context and characterization.
Well, we'll send you the quote,
I've worked directly with her. She does a fantastic job, and there's any suggestion that I or her or others are party to anti-Semitism is a mischaracterization attempting to win political points.
Sir, and I'm going to say
Senator,
that
you're
your
attempting to
lack
win
of an
political points
answer
on the backs of
confirms what we've
mischaracterizing the
known all
statements of a
along.
member
The Trump
of my
administration
department,
is not serious.
and I'm not going to stand for that.
You are not a serious person. You are not serious about rooting out, fighting anti-Semitism within the ranks of our DOD. It's despicable. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to move on to General Hawk. The sudden inexplicable dismissal of General Hawk. He serves both the director of the National Security Agency, commander of U.S. Cybercom. It's deeply concerning, raises significant questions about the decision-making process, its potential consequences. Public reports indicate that the removal of General Hawk, who has served his country proudly, has been influenced by social media influencer, a personality on social media, Laura Loomer, spreads conspiracy theories. She's been denounced even by Republicans. And the idea is that any leaders within our agencies responsible for our nation's security, somebody would be dismissed based on the advice of a social media influencer, is alarming to say the least. It's surely not how we should be running our military. So were you consulted regarding General Hawk's dismissal, yes or no?
Well, Senator, I would not advise believing everything you read in the media. And I'm
were
consulted on every single decision.
Okay,
I'm the
so that's
decision maker
alarming.
for the department, and we all serve at the pleasure of the president. And
So
we have the
what was your-
prerogative to
what
make
was
those
your
decisions for
What
the
was your
best for the
recommendation?
country,
Did you
and we did
personally
that.
approve Mr. Hawk's dismissal, yes or no?
Anyone coming or going
Personally
at the
approve
Defense
it.
Department, especially at that level, would ultimately be a decision made by me, and I stand behind that.
Did you personally relieve him? Did you personally relieve him? Yes or no?
Anyone at that level
You did,
who is
so that's a
relieved
yes.
would be relieved by the Secretary of Defense.
Was there a specific justification for General Hawk's dismissal? Was there a specific justification for General Hawk's dismissal?
Ma'am, we all serve at the pleasure of the President, and the President deserves the type
it
of
true?
commanders and advisors that he thinks will best
Did you
equip him
discuss
to
General Hawk's
accomplish the
dismissal with
mission.
Laura Loomer prior to his removal?
I don't discuss who I talk about anything with, but ultimately this is my decision, and he serves at the pleasure of the President, and that's why he's no longer there.
So do you believe it's appropriate for any social media personality to influence personnel decisions in your department, yes or no?
I believe your time is up, Senator.
Oh, it is not up to you to tell me when my time is up.
Well, the time
And I
of
am
the
going to
senator.
say, Mr. Secretary, you're either feckless or complicit. You're not in control of your department. Yours is unserious. It is shocking. You're not combating anti-Semitism within your ranks. It's a dangerous and pivotal time in our nation's history. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. And I don't appreciate the smirk, sir. You are the Secretary of Defense.
The time of the gentlelady has expired. Please
The
interrupt
exchange was
your
not just pointed, it was historic in highlighting concerns over standards at the very top of the military hierarchy. Senator Rosen opened her questioning by emphasizing something we all agree on. Senior officials in the Department of Defense must reflect the highest values, the same values we expect from the service members they lead. This isn't just about politics, it's about trust and accountability. She then asked Secretary Hegseth to confirm that anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories have no place in our military or government. Secretary Hegseth's response was cautious. He avoided a direct yes or no, stressing the importance of context and characterization. But here's what matters. Senator Rosen followed up with a specific example, referencing DoD Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson, whose past comments were described by critics as anti-Semitic and even lifted from a neo-Nazi playbook. Now, the controversy isn't just in the words themselves, but in the actions that followed. Despite these concerns being raised publicly, Kingsley Wilson was promoted, which Senator Rosen highlighted as inconsistent with President Trump's publicly stated commitment to combat anti-Semitism. The senator asked the most direct question of all: should she be dismissed from her role as a military spokesperson? Secretary Hegseth refused to answer with a simple yes or no. Instead, he defended her record, praising her work and framing the accusations as political point scoring rather than genuine misconduct. At this moment, Senator Rosen's frustration boiled over, calling out what she described as a failure to take anti-Semitism seriously within the DoD. But the hearing didn't stop there. Senator Rosen also raised alarms about the sudden dismissal of General Hawk, the director of the NSA and commander of U.S. Cyber Command. Reports suggested that this high-level removal was influenced not by formal channels, but by a social media personality named Laura Loomer, a figure widely criticized for spreading conspiracy theories. The senator's question was simple: was Secretary Hegseth consulted about General Hawk's dismissal? Again, the answer was circumspect. He cautioned against trusting media reports entirely and emphasized that while decisions ultimately come from the top, he personally approved the removal. So what can we take away from this? There are three critical lessons for anyone trying to understand the inner workings of the Department of Defense. First, transparency and accountability at the highest levels remain essential for maintaining public trust. Second, social media influence on governmental decisions is a new reality we cannot ignore. And third, ethical standards, especially regarding anti-Semitism and other forms of discrimination, are not just abstract ideals. They affect real people, real careers, and national security. For viewers watching at home, this isn't just political theater. This is how our government grapples with questions of leadership, values, and accountability in real time. And if you want more in-depth analysis of these hearings, breakdowns of military policy, and explanations of what these decisions really mean for our nation, hit subscribe now so you don't miss a single update. We'll continue following this story, especially as questions remain about how personnel decisions are made at the Pentagon and what role outside influences may play in shaping our military leadership. Stay tuned and keep asking the tough questions. This is your front row seat to accountability in action. Subscribe now and join the conversation, because understanding the choices behind the headlines matters more than ever. If you want, I can also make an even punchier version under 3 minutes, optimized specifically for YouTube, with clear commentary, cliffhangers, and call to actions at every point to keep viewers engaged. This one is more long-form and educational.